Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. I apologize for having some technical difficulties here. Give me 1 second. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming. So today, we're going to discuss how women of diverse backgrounds and with high ambition, how they navigate the workspace. Have you ever wondered why women of color or of diverse backgrounds have high ambition with little help? A recent Wall Street Journal article stated that women of diverse backgrounds and color want to be in the upper echelons of a corporation and do not know or have the support to get there. Plus, 24%, 2.4%, I apologize, according to McKinsey and Company, consider themselves ambitious. Does that ambition come with lack of experience? Learning to navigate the corporate system? You might also be wondering what this has to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. This story illustrates what happens during the process of wanting to be promoted and facing a barrage of racist and sexist attacks. My name is Rachelle Carrier, and I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion advocate. And for a living, I help thought-provoking leaders implement DEI plans in their workplace. And if you tune in, you will get a better insight on all of our experiences, and it will allow room to be self-reflective. In our first episode, for those of you who were not there for our first episode, we shared what it was like being the only one in the room and the benefits it brought to the round table. We shared our personal and professional stories and how we continue this journey while navigating race and gender in the workplace. So my personal share about becoming ambitious did not happen overnight. Over the years, while navigating corporate, it allowed me to understand and to grow into what I thought would be an ambitious woman of color. Without a mentor or support system within those corporations, I realized without many or any women of color holding high positions or C-suite executives, how would I get there? Through my lens, it did require a mentor to bridge the gap and to help me gain the knowledge and negotiating power to muster up the courage to do so. So my question to you is, how did you become ambitious, and were you self-made? So I'm going to turn the question over to Alizée Uterine. She's an award-winning, multi-talented entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman, a journalist, artist, international PR, educational and media consultant, born in Guyane and raised in Paris. She is also a member of the U.S. National Committee for UN Women. She's the brain behind Alizée La Vie Media and the founder and editor-in-chief of Alizée Magazine, an international multicultural bilingual magazine promoting diversity, equity, and culture around the world. Alizée, thank you for coming here today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so honored to be with you, with all these amazing women. Thank you, Rachel. It's a
You're
great pleasure
welcome.
to be there.
So my question to you, Alizée, is how did you become ambitious, and were you self-made?
I've always been ambitious. I mean, since I was a little girl, I've always been very focused and wanted to go very far in my life, especially in my career. But I truly became ambitious when I came to America in terms of all the challenge I have to face, especially in the working environment. So where, because of my language or my accent, especially my accent, I would say, so people tend to underestimate my capabilities. And because of that, it really brought the best of me, saying I can do it and I will make it happen. So that's why, I become very, ambitious and self-focused on, make sure I got the result. But it's really because of my working environment that triggers something into me, saying that, I need to not just improve myself, but to prove them they were wrong. Yes.
To prove them they were wrong. Did you have any mentors or anyone supporting you to be able to help you navigate the corporate space?
No, I didn't have any mentor. No one was next to me, being in America by myself. So I truly have to manage on my own. So I wish I had a mentor, because it's always better to have a mentor that, helps you, follow some directions. But I truly have to learn the hard way. But it has been very interesting for me to just to go for whatever I put in my mind, to say, I will make it no matter what, no matter the time.
No matter what and the matter of time. And I see everyone is shaking their head, and it's absolutely true. I think once you know your vision and your focus and you understand exactly where you need to go and the steps that it's going to take, and obviously the challenges and the circumstances won't stop you from getting there. Thank you, Alizée. Our next guest is Deb Noor. She helps the average Joe discover their real estate goals so they can build legacy wealth. It is her mission to show people that possibilities are everywhere. It is also her passion to help others to see the sometimes not so obvious path, and always her honor to help you discover your options, seek opportunities, and create adventures of your own. So Deb, I am asking this question to you. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming today. How did you become ambitious, and were you self-made?
Well, thank you so much for having me on this platform today, and I'm so honored to have met you. As far as being self-made, I had a couple of really wonderful examples. My father and my mother were both business owners. But growing up, I really, there was no one helping me decide what I wanted to do in life or for a career. And so I would have to say self-made, yes, on that notion alone. And just discussing with you, I've had to, make a review of my life and go, how did I end up here? Because there really wasn't help, and what is there available to people now? But everything that I've gone through has been like a correct course to get where I am today. So I think that I had to go through all of these jobs. I've been working since I was 14 and going through all kinds of companies and organizations and personalities and, deciding, okay, that doesn't work for me. Let's go here. Okay, that doesn't work for me. Let's move here. And so it's been a real journey to get to where I am today, but it's definitely self-made for sure. Just because you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't have a mentor and no one leading me to what I think that I want or, what have you. So just kind of figuring it out on my own.
It was interesting. I remember we had a conversation before this live, and I remember a story that you had mentioned, and I think it's probably what bridges us together and doesn't make us different from anybody else. And I had the same conversation with Alizé in terms of, Alizé and another lady. We said that, it's so important for women to be together, to stick together, to share information together, so we could bridge those gaps, so we can help each other climb those ranks. So I'm happy you shared that, and you also mentioned different personalities. That could be quite challenging when you're navigating a space, especially where a place where you want to get promoted and be in that position of respect. Thank you so much, Deb, for answering that question. The next person on our panel is Malaika Simmons, performance mindset coach, TEDx speaker, and an author. Malaika is a 2-time Toastmasters Club president, human-centered design strategist, innovation consultant, and co-author of 2 books, including the Amazon best-selling The Success Blueprint with Brian Tracy and Entrepreneurial Elevation. Malaika is also the creator of the Momentology Method and CEO of Momentology Media, LLC. She uses the Momentology Method to help servant leading women, executives, and high performers create daily momentum. Oh, that's a good one. Daily momentum, and implement a plan that lets them step up, speak up, level up to design the impactful career, business, and life of their dreams. Malaika, welcome.
Thank you. It sounds so good when you say it like that. Hey, world changers. Hey, I am Malaika, as in I like a Malaika. I love your question, right, about ambition and whether or not we're self-made. So one of the things I say often is that it doesn't matter who you are. You have to remember whose you are, right? And so part of it is that I'm not self-made, right? I am 100% God-made. Everything that I do in my walk in this world is a manifestation of God's love, God's light, right? And I think all of us are. Sometimes we just don't know where it is. That light is within all of us. And for women, because we're so busy tending to so many different things, we forget about that light. And so my whole mission, my whole everything is to show people their own light, right? So I say servant leading. I cater to servant leading women specifically because I think many of us are, but there's something about giving, right? And there's something about the people who want to give. So I want to serve those people who are out there serving other people. Like I feel like that's my job, to make their jobs easier. And so when it comes to ambition, I just think you're born with a certain level or a certain amount of go out there and get itness, right? And it depends upon lots of things: your environment, the stories people are telling you, the culture you're raised in, whether or not you really can tap into that. And so I do believe that I was born ambitious. I started reading when I was 18 months old. I was that kid walking around with a big dictionary that was bigger than I was, thesaurus. I come from a family of teachers, so like colloquialisms were not allowed in my house when I was growing up. When I got in trouble, we had to write on the board. And it's a wonder I even still have all these whiteboards in my life now, because I should be traumatized, because we were always writing. My grandmother was like, look it up, write it up. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica, AKA before Google. We were sitting reading books all the time. And so I was never told that I couldn't do anything, which is a blessing. And I'm super, super grateful for my family that I have. We all just didn't have that sort of family. We all don't have that sort of life where someone is in your corner telling you you can do everything. So yes, I believe I started off ambitious. I have a daughter who is, my mother says, I'm getting it back earnestly, but my daughter started coding in JavaScript when she was 5 years old. She now codes in Python and she's 12. She started a company when she was 5. Like, if I had the Google and the things that are at her disposal right now, like, what kind of world would that be? So yeah, I was ambitious, but your ambition is not enough. Like, your ambition is just a little thing that tells you, oh, I wish I could. I wonder if I could. But this whole panel is about race and gender in the workplace, right? So you take all your bubbly, wonderful Black girl magic ambition, and then you get to being the only person in the room that looks like you. You get to the microaggressions with, oh, your hair, can I touch your hair? Like, grown people asking to touch your hair. What world is this, right? These microaggressions, when you wear your hair out and natural, silent. When you have it weave or flat or straight, and oh, you look so beautiful today, right? These are things that go deep into you, like, oh, well, I wasn't beautiful when my hair was curly. Like, so you start to internalize all those things. So yes, I was ambitious, but there were times when it was hampered. There was times when there were things and people and stories that told me that I couldn't do what I needed to do. And no, I'm not self-made. I believe that I'm here to facilitate discovery. And so I was made for that purpose. And that's the route that I chose to embrace, because we could hide from it as well. So self-made and adopting and adapting to your calling is a whole different thing.
It's interesting. I'm happy you said all of it. And the one thing I took out, it was interesting. Before Google, we had encyclopedias as well. Oh, Nicole, you're shaking your head. We had encyclopedias as well. And I remember, my parents are Haitian. So anytime something stood in my head, it's when they said it in Creole. And so my mom would say, go do the research in the encyclopedia, go look it up in the thesaurus, go look it up in the dictionary. So she never really gave me all the answers. It would have probably been impossible for her to answer all the answers. And I think in the back of my mind, this is why I became a teacher. I retired recently in February. However, after it brought the researcher out in me. So it's interesting how you're saying ambition, and it's something that just, like you said, it's already inside you. And if you have someone, a mentor, a parent, or even yourself in your own corner to be able to facilitate that and to say that, yes, Malaika, yes, you are all, shaking your heads. It's life. It's life, and it helps with all the other dialogues that are going in our minds. But before we go on, because we have a ton of other questions, Nicole R. Smith is a Panamanian American workforce development specialist, published author of Game On, Relentlessly Pursue Your Dreams, and the 101 Note-Taking Affirmation Journal series, motivational speaker, blogger, podcast host from the suggestion box, navigating feedback. This is the funny one. And I'm going to say why it's funny, because when I had this conversation with you, Nicole, she said, so it's called the host from the suggestion box, navigating feedback, the good, the bad, and the say what? Did I get it? I did. So when she would say that, I thought, where is this going? And then she said it again. And then I realized, oh, this makes sense now. So I want you to answer the question and then explain that. So were you ambitious or were you self-made?
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Ambitious. I'm definitely ambitious. Like I had mentioned, I come from immigrant parents, from coming over from Panama. My dad was in the military, and his whole life, he was always the only one in the room. But not only was he the only one in the room, he was also the minority in the minority because he was Hispanic in the room. And so it was a lot of not fitting in either world, because the white people didn't accept you, but the Black people didn't accept us either, right? So having to always overcome and we all know the rule, you have to be 110% in order to even, compete with whatever they're doing. You have to do it 2 and 3 times better. We know that. So that was kind of what I grew up with. That was the example that I grew up with. Similar to Malaika, I didn't have anybody telling me that I couldn't do anything, but I also didn't necessarily have them going, yes, you can do anything. It was just kind of, that was way of life. You need to figure it out. And as I got older, I became a mother at a young age, and her father passed away. So now I'm a single mom, and I'm a single Black Latina mother in corporate America. I had to figure it out. There's a lot of challenges and things that, just made it more difficult, but it was either figure it out or be on the street, right? So there was no option. And I had many doors closed on me and overlooked for many things, but I was like, I am so grateful, because every last one of them, similar to what Deb said, it was kind of like a compass guiding me to where I needed to go. I would not be who I am today without the numerous no's that I have had in my life. Every last one of those no's who has shaped who I am. So when I say that I'm self-made, that's a hard one, right? Because even though I had the ambition to do all of the work, for me, to me, nobody can make it without the help of something. And I don't necessarily mean, somebody came and helped me do what I was working, but it could have been the person who gave me the discount on the computer, the person who said that they would watch my daughter for the day, the person who said, you know what, I'll cook for you today, so that, all of those little things that gave me that extra break to be able to get 1 extra hour in of whatever it is I was doing. To me, you can't make it on your own. Everybody, all these billionaires, they will tell you it takes a village of people to get there. Now, you may not have somebody that's going to take, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't necessarily have somebody that was going to, take me under their wing and tell me all the loopholes. And I mean, I figured a lot of that out on my own, you know, smacking your head against the wall. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, well, adjust. Smack my head against that wall. Okay, adjust. But I did have people doing small things here or there, regardless of, I mean, and it's little things like when my boss would say, yeah, it's okay to take your computer home. To me, that was helping me. I didn't have to go out and buy another computer. That small thing that she said, go ahead, take your computer home, opened up a whole world for me after work, from, you know, after the 9 to 5, the 5 to 9, working all the way through the night. But had she not given me the opportunity to do that, that would have been another barrier to what I had to overcome. So the self, am I self-made? No. Because I just don't think we're not even built or geared to make it on our own in this world. Because if that was the case, it would never say it's not good for man to be alone, right? Like our society is built upon the philosophy of Ubuntu, right? It's I am because you are. When you succeed, I succeed. And if there's anything that I can do in a small way that will help you, even if I don't get something back from it, as I help you, somebody's going to help me. And that's just how I personally think the world evolves, which is why mentors are so important, which is why, you know, business people who are super successful, they have coaches, they have their team around them, right? There's all these people, like you have your Michael Jordans and that's because I'm old, right? So I guess it's LeBron James now, but all these people who are at the top of their game, none of them got there by themselves. They all had a coach. They had somebody watching out for them, guiding them, doing what yes, they get all the glory, but without the coach, nobody has got up on the stand of the Olympics and was like, I got here all by myself. Not one person, not one person.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I 100%. And my personal share to add to that, I recently, literally at 49 years old, got a mentor 3 months ago. And it's through my mentor. He and several coaches, business, resume, clarity coaches, through them, they're the ones who helped me find my voice. They are the ones who said, Rochelle, the path you're taking is the right one. This is what you need. I was referred books. A link came in, a random link from a friend came in to do the Tony Robbins seminar, Unleash Your Power from Within. And it was the time. I was ready to receive. I was open. And those messages, and like my Leica said, these were messages from God. Honestly, if these messages were coming in at a different time in my life, I wouldn't have been open to it. Right. And when I realized that I didn't get here by myself, that's when more opportunities were opening. That's when people like women like you were saying, you know what? Maybe you should do this. Or I actually extend now and ask for support, because this is all a learning curve. And like you said, it takes a village, just like being a mom. It takes a village, maybe even bigger than a village. When you're a mom, you need your whole support system around you. And, you know, I was talking to Deb about something which was really interesting. And it's, you know, do you think women are negotiating their salaries or accepting the first job they are offered? You're all smiling. And I want everybody to answer this question. So I'm going to give it to Deb. Okay. So do you think women are negotiating their salaries or accepting the first job they are offered?
Well, you know, two things. You hit it on the head there when you said, you know, finding your voice. And then also what Malaika said is that ambition is not enough. I actually worked with a sustainable transformation coach, Sally Anderson, who helped me find my voice. And it was about that time, I think, where things started happening, and a friend of mine actually got a position, and I was like, well, how did you get that salary? And she's like, I asked for it. So it was like from that point on, I was like, you mean you just have to ask? I mean, of course, there's negotiating and maybe you don't get exactly what you want. But if you don't ask, of course, you're not going to get what you want. And up until that point, yeah, I was just going through corporations accepting what I was given and being passed over for promotions because of favoritism. And, I went to college, I'm a college graduate thinking, I just need a degree. I need education. I need experience, and then I'll be able to move up in a company. And that is not the case. You have to, sometimes know people. You have to know who's doing the hiring or doing the promoting, and it just doesn't work the way it would have worked maybe back in the 50s or 60s, where education and experience gives you the promotions. And so it's like adapting for that specific company, because every company is completely different in how they work. But I think the key there is finding your voice and speaking up for yourself, and having the motivation, like Malika said, in addition to the ambition, to seek what you want and get that, whether it's in the company that you're at, or if that means you have to take another opportunity to get there.
That's a good point. And it's fascinating how we just have to ask. I saw Malika, clapping her hands. Oh, you just have to ask. And and I think that's sometimes embedded in being a woman. So I'm going to take this to you, Alizé. Do you think women are negotiating their salaries or accepting the first job that they are offered? And, why do you think that is?
So I will say, as an ambitious woman, you have to negotiate your salary, because you know your value. So you can settle for less for who you are, for all your education, your expertise. So it's necessary to negotiate. Of course, you might not have what you want, but first you have to ask, based on your skills, all your background. So you can go for something like, just because, they give you your first job, and it has to be something that you love, or you feel comfortable with, and to be in accordance with yourself, you have to make sure salary and what you're going to do, the mission, fits your expectation. So for me, there's no way you can just take like a job just because it's your first job. You have to know, it starts with your self-confidence, your value, your worth. So if you don't know your worth, so that means and you take anything just like that means because you don't know your value. Because believe me, if you know your value, you can go for less. And you will have to negotiate. That's my point.
I agree. You do have to know your worth to be able to negotiate. Malika, how would you answer that if women are negotiating their salaries or accepting the first job they are offered?
It's fear, right? There's fear of failure and there's fear of success, which is actually fear of failure wrapped in a lot of excuses, right? I think there's three things that we have to do. Yes, we have to ask. I was clapping when she said, how did you get that? Because I just asked for it. Because you don't have to tell children to just ask. They will ask to you are just like, yes, here, take it, and just keep moving, right? We lose that in adulthood because we've been told, especially women, we've been told to be nice, and we've been told that there's a way to do things, and like all these artificial boundaries that get put on us. And so we stop asking, or we think that I just want. Just and try, we need to take that out of the dictionary. You cannot try. Either you do the thing or you don't do the thing. Yoda had it down pat. Is try, do or do not do. There is no try, right? There's three things you have to do. Yes, you have to ask, because that's the first part. The second is you have to advocate, because just because you ask and you sit back like, well, I asked for a raise, I guess they didn't give it to me. Or I show up every day, so that must mean that they're going to give me a raise. No, it doesn't. Are you advocating for yourself, right? And then third, we have to allow, because again, a lot of times we say we want something, but then we have a resistance to actually receiving it. So it doesn't do any good to put a number out there to say you want something where you on the inside don't feel like you're worth receiving it. So the allowance is very important. Sometimes we can't even take a compliment, right? People give us compliments and we're like, oh, thank you, really quickly change the subject, or
Yeah.
oh, it's right. Oh no, thank you. Or someone says, hey, you did a great job, and it wasn't me, it was so if it wasn't you, why am I giving you a raise? So you have to be able to stand in your power and go. That doesn't mean don't share credit. So don't get me wrong, because especially as leaders, we should be giving credit to our teams. We should be empowering our teams. But the leadership is saying that I was able to put these things together to do all of these things to empower other people. And so a lot of times and I'm speaking for myself, we're tacticians. Like, we know our job really well, but we don't speak with a leadership voice, right? And so speaking as a leader is different than doing the things that need to be done. We all know you can do them, boo, but can you lead it? Can you get it across the finish line? And being able to articulate that value to others. So to me, it's definitely asking, allowing, asking, advocating, and then allowing, because all three of them kind of go together.
Asking, allowing, and advocating. They do. And it's interesting. It's asking, advocating, and allowing. I'm going to write this down. Asking, allowing, advocating.
Yes. And advocating is speaking. So I say, you speak life. There's life and death in the power of the tongue. Say out loud what you want, because here's the other thing. If you can't say you're going for that first 6-figure job, if you can't say $100,000, you're not going to get $100,000. It's really that simple. So you have to get in the practice of being able to say it, and say it like you mean it. Say it with your chest. Like this. You have to do that, because people will interpret your inability to articulate that as that you're not really worth it. So you have to believe it first before someone else can.
I agree. And Nicole, you're shaking your head. How does that all resonate with you and your shared experiences? Please share.
Well, first of all, I would like to say $100,000 now. But to answer your question, are women negotiating? I don't think they are. I think they are just accepting the first thing that comes, for many reasons, like Malika said, out of fear. Some people, they're just like, I just need to get a job and it has benefits, and I don't want to rock the boat. They gave me a job, great. If I ask for more, am I going to lose the job opportunity? If I ask for more, are they going to think that I'm greedy? And I don't want to come off like I'm greedy, because I'm just happy, because at the end of the day, the biggest thing is I need to have a job. So to just be specific, to answer your question, I don't think they are. I think they are accepting. But the beautiful thing is that through opportunities like this and other webinars, and I've just seen a lot of other women talking to other women, and just like Malika said, boo, go ahead and ask for it. It's going to be okay, because they're hearing from other people who have asked and have received, and then they know that it's okay, right? And that's where that whole, it takes a village, because if you are in it by yourself and you don't hear the success of other people doing it, it doesn't give you the permission to know that it's okay to do it. You stay locked in your silo, and you're not really sure, well, I'm not even going to rock the boat because I need a job, especially. And I bring it, like I said, through a single mother lens. Like I don't want to do anything for this deal to be off the table, because I have this child that I have to take care of. So sure, I will take it. I will take the first thing. Do I feel like I'm worth more? Yes. Am I afraid that they don't think I'm worth more? Yes. Working through that, but hearing other women saying, well, guess what? I did it and it was okay. And not only did I get it, they even gave me more than I asked. What? Okay. But it's getting the permission to do that, because it's not something that we've been taught.
It's interesting. You said permission, and I'm going to I have a daughter as well, and she's 6, and she has, feistiness and sass in her. And then over time, I saw it fade a little bit, and I realized I had to bring it back out in her. So I registered her for a public speaking class specifically for children she's the youngest one, between the ages of 7 and 12. It's called Winning Feathers, if anybody is interested, for their kids. And we did this about 2 weeks ago. And we were not allowed to be in the Zoom session, which broke my heart. So I left the office, but I put my ear towards the door. And I wanted to hear what she had inside her so that I could capitalize on it, so I could be her advocate. So the question was, what's your name? Simple. My name is Sophia Leia Aravia, and I have 2 homes. I have a mom who lives in Fort Lauderdale, and then my papa lives in Miami. And I'm very lucky because I have 2 homes. And I thought, wow. It's there. It needs to be promoted. She wasn't shy. She has 2 homes. I've been telling her she's going to have 2 homes for a while now. It came true. She has 2 homes, and she is embracing the fact that she has 2 homes. And I've delivered the information to her that it's okay to have 2 homes. And it's actually, you can have more homes. So having mama in one house and papa in another house is a good thing. But the thing is that she made it her own. And the platform like we have here, I'm serving you, and I'm so blessed to have all of you here today. But the platform for her to share was there, and she was able to give what she had. So starting from there, I think this is where our job begins. It begins as parents in our homes, sisters, camps, motherhood, sisterhood. We need to give back what we know and share with others. Even though we're not a mom, we might know somebody else who's a mom. We might be babysitting someone. We might be contributing to an all-girls camp, something to be able to allow us to use our voice. And like you said, Malaika, I never use the word nice. I address my daughter's behavior, and then the behavior has to be adjusted. Never do I say you're not being a nice girl or you're not being a good girl. I said you were born good, you were born kind, we were all born good, we were all born kind, and that's how we were made. So the brainwashing, it's rewiring. I can't say it's brainwashing. There's a YouTuber I follow called Jake Ducey, and he says when you rewire your brain, new neurotransmitters make connections. I had that conversation with you, Nicole, and it's new messages that are coming in your head. You're rewiring the way you're thinking. And I think it's important. Alizé was saying, she's confident. She knew she didn't have the fear. She didn't have the doubt. And like Malaika was saying as well, it is sometimes the fear and the doubt. It's all the what ifs that come across in our minds that think, can we actually do this? So what do you think corporations would have to put in place for women to advance in the workplace? I know, let's just take a little moment to think about that. What would corporations have to do? If it's not a corporation, not-for-profit organization, an organization, what would they have to put in place for women to be able to advance in the workplace? Malaika?
Well, first, let's not do another assertive class. Let's not do that. I don't know who told someone at some point that women coaching or women leadership development should be around being assertive. Listen, no. One of the things I think that we miss this is about women. This is about women. This is about, gender and race and that sort of thing. But the human element is so important that we keep skipping over. So I am an empathy consultant. I am a human-centered design strategist. And what that is about is, how does this human, this stakeholder, whoever it happens to be, whomever it is, your client, your customers, how do they see the world? And how does your organization and your product serve that person? So if organizations internally will look at how they serve their employees, whether or not they're male, female, non-binary, it doesn't matter. How are you addressing human needs in the corporation? That would go such a long way to addressing the women's needs. Like I always say, all issues are women's issues, right? So you don't have to just pick one. Like, just be a better person, just be a better human, and also make room for people, make room for voices. Like Rochelle, you said earlier, like, to find your voice. It's not just women who feel like they can't speak up. I was Toastmaster president. You know how many times there were rows of people that sat around the outside because they didn't really want to get in. They were scared, male and female, scared to open their mouth to do a 2-minute talk, right? So it's not just about being female. It's also about being human and being able to touch and express all the parts of whomever you happen to be. And if organizations were looking at humans, they're people that they actually employ, in a different light, then that would lead the way for women, because women are leaders. Are you kidding me? Like, they're already natural leaders. But we feel like we have to compartmentalize so much that I can do this really well at home or at church, but then when I get in the office, it's it's the same you. And if you feel free to bring the best you everywhere you show up, I'm me. This is me. You get this y'all look at any Zoom that I'm on, you're going to see the same me. I don't care if I'm in front of Congress doing a congressional briefing, a TED Talk, I'm always the same person. Now, obviously, I'm delivering different messages, but I feel, and I have taught myself to be okay with showing up as who I am. And so if we better embody showing up as you are and embrace people being who they are, women would naturally rise.
So in essence, what I'm taking away is that we need to show up as our authentic selves.
Absolutely. And not be afraid of it. We're kind of afraid of it ourselves. Like I think you were saying earlier, what if they don't like it? And we got to get to that so what? We got to get to that so what and show up anyway.
Right. I agree. And how does that resonate with you, Nicole?
I believe corporations, like if that's their target and that's what they want to do and that is what they're committed to doing, even though that's a whole like another story, because I completely agree with Malika, like take gender and all of that out of it. Like, human being, if you want the best human being for the job, this should be across the board. But I truly believe in mentorship. I believe in it 1,000%. If from the time somebody starts within the organization, they should be on a leadership path, and they have a mentor, they have somebody that is in, the corporate, the C-suite space who they can talk to from the time up, because that's another thing. In corporations, you have the people doing the work and you have the people making the decisions, and there's often a huge disconnect, which builds. And the higher you try to go in management, the harder it is, because you're so used to being disconnected from the people who are making all the decisions that you're not comfortable. So if that barrier is erased from the time that they step through the door, your C-suite mentor is this person, and build that relationship through, it will continue to allow to give people space to be their authentic self, to be able to have those conversations, because that comes through relationship. Because what I'm finding right now is everybody's like, oh, be your authentic self, and I want you to talk to us. And I'm like, but I've known you for like 12 years and you've never even say hi to me. And now you want me to just come and open up to you? Like, it doesn't work that way. That's just like, I met you on the street. Will you marry me? You wouldn't do that. No, that takes time. It takes cultivating. It takes getting to know each other to get people to a point where they do feel comfortable. So what I would say would be, put make mentorship priority from day one, not just your leadership team, but from your intern, who then becomes your entry level employee, who then becomes your middleman, so that by the time they're up there, that relationship is already built, and it's an easy transition. You're not having to overcome these huge barriers because you haven't talked to somebody for 12 years.
It's interesting because the path to get there it's always a journey, and friendships are journeys, and they don't happen instantly, and it's something that has to be built up. And like you said, by not saying hello, that first hello establishes a connection, and establishes that the person recognizes you, or that they've seen you, and that possibly there could be a relationship there, but it has to start from somewhere. And in corporations, because I'm no longer in per se corporate, but it's something that always takes time, and it builds trust. And then once you have that trust, then you start showing up, and the other person starts showing up depending on what you're sharing. And then then the person says, yes, this is what I've been through. And what's interesting is, and I'm going to read you something on vulnerability before we go, but what's interesting is that as I interview all you wonderful women through Zoom or phone calls, however it is we connect, there's a symbiotic relationship already establishing. It's a connection. Once you say hello and you share your story and it resonates with you, then our value systems are aligned. There's something already building there. We don't know where it's going. We don't know where it's going to take us, how it's going to take us there, but at least we're learning how to build a relationship. So my keynote is that while I tried to limit my own bias as much as possible by interviewing only women who I did not know and sticking to the same set of questions for ongoing interviews, it was impossible to completely remove my own personal experience from this discussion. So without it, I would have not been able to undertake it in the first place. So the continual themes surface that if true equality in the workplace is what we are after, sooner or later, we will have to tackle the issues that are distinctive to us, and especially in the workplace. We need to recognize we are not alone. As we mentioned the village, we are not alone. So I know many of you are having these transparent and courageous conversations and dialogues with the people you love, the ones around you, to help you figure out how you feel about this. Ponder the change. That change begins within us. How you resolve those questions will be distinctive to you, especially as women of color and of diverse backgrounds. This will reflect your personal and professional experience through your own community and your workspace. What is essential is that you do answer the questions. So what we covered today basically was how we became ambitious, how the journey was brought about. Were we self-made? What happened during the process as women of color, or simply a woman trying to navigate gender and race through the workspace? We will make our ancestors pretty happy. So please go through the process, reflect your ambitions, reach out, post on LinkedIn. Every Tuesday we'll be here. What is crucial is that you do go through that process. And while enough of us just do that, over time, we will continue having a united front. Transparency and authenticity, as I read in one of the comments, is key. We need to be true to ourselves. We can fundamentally create the transformation that needs to be done. Take your drawbacks, turn it into something others can find valuable. Give yourselves grace. We must keep having these conversations. These are courageous conversations about DEI. And again, I serve you ladies. I thank you so much. And I know, thank you. Malaika, you said something very interesting, because I'm going to, conclude with something about an excerpt I actually read in Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. And what was fascinating was during my aha moments when I resigned in February as a teacher, I went through ups and downs of trying to figure out who I was, getting my village together. And in the Tony Robbins session, they put us out in breakout rooms. I don't like breakout rooms because I knew once I got in that breakout room, I had to be authentic. So I go into the breakout room and I see I didn't know who it was. All I knew, it was a Tony Robbins staff member who said, check out this TED Talk. 2 months later, I went to the TED Talk and it was about vulnerability. She saw that I was not being vulnerable. I was not sharing. She knew I came for a reason. I didn't know the reason. And when I did see the TED Talk, it brought tears to my eyes. I thought, if I share my story, people will share with me. If I am my authentic self, people will be authentic as well. I will not be judged. And I finally got the book. So at the center of all our elaborate personal security measures and protection scheme lies the most precious treasure of the human experience. Malaika, you said show up as a human. The heart, in addition to serving as the life-giving muscle that keeps blood pumping through our body, it's the universal metaphor of our capacity to love and be loved. And it's the symbolic gateway to our emotional lives. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm going to unmute yourselves. I appreciate your time for coming here and share your comments, your feedbacks. We can't wait to hear from you. This has been an epic moment. Stay tuned on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 12 p.m. And a sneak little peek on our next episode is going to be why we dim those lights. Yes, ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
Thank you to all ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye.